Improvised Intelligence is sponsored by the amazing people over at Chop Chili. If you've been a long time listener to the podcast, you know that this is my favorite brand of chili here in New Mexico. Pretty much put it on every meal that I can. They've got red chili, green chili. My personal favorite is this blend of the red and the green. I think this stuff is phenomenal. They also have frozen bags of green chili that you can order directly from their website at chopchilico.com. You can also find them in stores around the state of New Mexico at Sprouts, Albertsons, Farmers Country Market, John Brooks, Keller's Farm Store, Lowe's Market. You can also find them in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Hobbs, Gallup, Tucumcari, and for all my friends in Texas, they are in El Paso. Again, chopchilico.com. Go get yourself some amazing chili. Now back to the podcast. There we go. All right, what's up, everybody? As you can tell, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, and I'm not sure why. However, I just want to start by saying this. I did not plan on doing this tonight. I did not plan on doing this tonight. So, all right, cool, we got audio. Okay, so this is what I was doing. So I was actually planning, I was very busy tonight. I was planning on going to a fucking open mic and doing my comedy stuff and blah, 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 blah. Because I actually, we'll get into that here in a second. But open mic got canceled, so I was like, okay, I got a little bit of time tonight. I'm going to work on the podcast, which I did. I'm going to write a little bit, which I got to read a few comic books too. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to watch the debate, and kind of just chill. Then I put on the debate, and I maybe got 10 minutes in. I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. I got 10 minutes in, and I was like, "Wow, this is bad!" Like, oh my god! Like I didn't expect anything like like phenomenal or anything, but like, holy shit, it was not. I only got 10 minutes in, not because I was like, all right, and I do want to put this out there too. So the debate that we're going to react to tonight, I'm gonna get through as quick as I can. The debate we're going to react to tonight is the mayoral debate for Albuquerque. And so Mailing Armijo, who I had on the podcast, and Eddie Varela did not get to do the debate. They were offered to do interviews beforehand, and they declined them. Now, in the spirit of transparency, I did get an offer from them to have them on the podcast tonight to do a live reaction. And that was a great idea. I was really considering doing it, but I was like, no, I'm going to be busy because I thought I was going to go to that open mic and practice. I got material I want to work on, but open mic got canceled and it was too late. I didn't want to change plans. And again, I did not plan on doing this. I was actually going to maybe wait till the weekend to talk about this, but I just got through 10 minutes of this horse shit, and I was like, wow. So, welcome back to Improvised Intelligence. My name is Noah Vargas. I'll be your host tonight. If you're new to the show, please like, subscribe, and share. We're going to watch this debate together. I don't plan on this episode going for too long, longer than maybe an hour and a half or so. But I've missed going live. I haven't been able to the last couple of weekends. I've been busy as hell. So if you're watching this with me, thank you. I'm sorry for the technical issues in the beginning. I don't know why it's doing that, if I'm being completely honest. Anyway, let's get to the debate, shall we? There we go. Let's kick that out a little bit. So if I'm leaning this way, see, I'm my own producer, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right, cool. You guys can see me. Okay, let's get to this fuck-ass debate. All right.
Primarily on the results of last month's Albuquerque Journal KOAT poll, as well as campaign finance reports. Here are those reports for September, when a decision was made. This does not include any money the candidates have contributed themselves. Tim Keller has the biggest pot, qualifying for more than $757,000 in public financing. Mailing Armijo, nearly $23,000 in front of Luis Sanchez, with Eddie Varela fifth. In the poll, Keller leading among likely voters who know who they plan to vote for. Varela and Armijo at the bottom with and 1% respectively. But the biggest group of all, 37% of voters, are undecided. Now, we invited both Armijo and Varela to sit down for extended interviews with KOAT covering many of the same issues we're going to be talking about tonight, but both of them declined our offer. Well, journalists with the Partners for Impact will ask the questions tonight. They are KOAT Action 7 News anchor Shelley Rabando, Capitol reporter for the Albuquerque Journal, Dan Boyd.
I hope that audio sounds okay. I know it's kind of fucky because the TV sucks, but, you know, what are you going to do?
Agreed to by all four campaigns. Each candidate will have an uninterrupted 30 seconds for an opening statement. For each question, the candidates will each have 1 minute to answer. As moderator, I have the discretion to grant candidates 30 seconds for a rebuttal. And we'll end with giving each candidate another uninterrupted 30 seconds for closing statements. We start opening statements with Darren White.
Of course, we get an ad.
Game.
Great. Okay. So they're going to start with their intros and all that stuff. Again, it's starting to get to the last minute, so sorry about that. Cheers to everybody watching. You're probably going to fucking need one of these. So. All right, let's see.
Albuquerque is at a tipping point. Record-breaking crime, over 750 homicides in less than 8 years. The homeless problem is so out of control that city employees are being sent out to clean up human waste, and businesses are struggling to survive, many of them closing down, like Griff's Hamburgers, a favorite of Albuquerque for over 60 years. It was bulldozed because the owner said it was no longer safe for their customers. We can't keep electing the same person and expecting a different result.
Mr. Sanchez, go ahead, please.
Thank you. My name is Luis Sanchez, and I'm
He's like,
running
shut up.
because we need a change. We need a new direction in our city. I'm a retired police officer. I'm a business owner, and I'm a current city councilor. I have been contributing.
Neither one of these guys are very likable, are they?
For the last
Goodness gracious.
economic growth, and also making sure that the rest of our city is
If
safe.
you guys can't hear it very well or anything, please put it in the chat and I'll change it.
Transparency and experience to
Aside from the static, I'm sorry about that.
Luis Sanchez,
Time is
Bureau
up,
of
Mr.
Administration.
Sanchez.
Jesus.
You have 30 seconds as well.
Tonight you're going to hear an incumbent try to defend a broken system and two challengers complain about it. Public servant, I know that.
Okay, I guess I should say this. I've seen this, right? I do want to go. That just makes me laugh. Shout out to Alex. Recent episode of the podcast. Thank you for coming back on, man. It really was a blast to sit down together. Went to his campaign office, and yeah, we had a good time. So shout out to him. Good guy. Interesting conversation.
Of Albuquerque are ready for someone who delivers results. I have locked up child predators and cartel bosses, uncovered 30 years of corruption in Tim's DWI unit because nobody is above the law. And I know that people are ready for people who will do real work and deliver real results with care and with consequences in Albuquerque that works for everyone.
Thank you. Our final opening statement comes from...
Probably the best of the opening statements.
You know, these are tough
In my
times.
opinion.
We have national problems, we have Albuquerque's old problems, and we have a president trying to divide us. Now more than ever, we need strong...
And can I just say, it annoys me. It annoys me to no end when local politicians, and this happened under Trump, or happening under Trump, this happened under Biden. It annoys me to no end when local politicians, invoke the federal government and specifically the president when they're bringing up issues in general, not just in this. This isn't too bad right now, but just in general. It's like, and I was telling Alex this at the beginning of the podcast, and I think he grasped the concept, but like, Trump did not cause the issues in Albuquerque. They've been here long before him, and at the rate we're going, they'll be here for a long time after. So the idea that Trump or Biden, now granted, have they been doing a whole lot to help New Mexico or Albuquerque? No, because they've been kind of fucking up, right? We're on, what? Biden got elected in 2020, 2020 election, yeah. So we're going on a little over 5 years of just absolute fucking horseshit, and the idea that invoking Donald Trump is gonna fit, he's the problem. Shut up, you fucking, fucking closeted motherfucker.
experienced leadership. Now you ask me to face these challenges head on, to do the real work, to solve real problems. Deep change takes time. It's not the flip of a switch.
Emperor
It's not
Vargas.
changing out a person. It takes hard work every day for years. And now we're seeing real progress. We know what's working. Now is no time to change direction. That's why I stand before you, the only candidate, with a specific game plan and the guts to see it through.
Keller, time is up. Thank you.
The guts to see it through? Wait. Okay, so I'm not gonna try to interrupt every, I'm gonna get through the sections, I promise. But what? Of course you don't want to change directions now. You don't want to go back to working at Target. What has Keller done to actually fix this city? He's done nothing. Everything is falling apart. He's tried programs, but they've all been half-assed. And then the guts to see what through? The asbestos poisoning? The homeless camps you've been building? Not just the ones under the fucking bridge that they keep relocating, but the tiny homes, the fucking gateway, the 2 gateway projects. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Oh, all right, back to the show.
Start our debate tonight on crime. Our first question is from Shelley Rabando of KOAT. Shelley.
Thanks. Albuquerque has seen persistent concerns around violent crime and property crime. What specific strategies would you implement to reduce crime while balancing community trust in law enforcement?
Mr. Sanchez, you go first.
Thank you. I'm born and raised in this community, and one of the things that we do oftentimes as police officers is we call it the grandmother test. If your grandmother is not feeling safe, then we have a problem. Crime is 50% higher than the national average in Albuquerque, and that is another issue. I've experienced crime, homelessness, defecation, urination in front of my office, and I know the citizens of Albuquerque and business owners are feeling the same. We're not enforcing laws at the lower level. It's so important that we enforce laws at the lower level and the laws that are in the books. Once we start doing that, we will see a change in the way people react and the way the individuals react out there. And at that point, maybe we can get some help and put people into directed services that they need to move forward and get a house.
No plan. Absolutely
of any work platform.
no plan given by this guy. Not surprising, but, whatever. He's kind of dead in the water, I think.
Thank you. Mr. Ubayas, you are next.
Public safety is a public good. In order to deliver for the
And no, I don't pay for YouTube Premium. Sorry, boys.
people of Albuquerque, we need to build a unified countywide 911 system staffed with first responders. We need to outreach, prevention, and intervention to stop crime before it happens. We need to focus our efforts strategically on the most serious of crimes. And then we need to focus on reentry when folks have paid their debt to society, making sure they can come back into our community and be full members. It is our responsibility to deliver public safety and the feeling of safety to the people of Albuquerque.
Thank you. Mr. Keller.
At least he had an answer for it, I guess.
Our police department was
Kinda.
falling apart. Officers were leaving. They had lost trust. We were under a DOJ consent decree, and crime was going up. Now we've rebuilt APD, and we fight crime a different way with technology and civilians. And so I put gunshot detection and license plate readers all over the city. And that's why we created the Community Safety Department, to be civilians that respond to calls to free up officers so they can fight violent crime. If we keep using technology and civilians, we have a chance of fighting crime in the right way and also making sure that we're dealing with the underlying issues around fentanyl and things that are the drivers of crime, including housing and homelessness. That's what we need. It's a complicated answer because it's a complicated question, but we know it's working.
And Mr. White.
It's
Okay, so just real quick on that. Actually, I'll wait for Darren White to do his thing, and I'll go back to Keller.
Not a complicated question. I believe the fundamental role of government is to keep people safe. And that's exactly the way that I will lead. I will hire a new chief of police, one who's a strong and inspirational leader, one that the officers can be proud of and one that the public can be proud of as well. We got to get back to proactive policing, where officers go out and they conduct traffic stops. When they're doing that, they're also getting people who are wanted for warrants, sometimes violent warrants. They're also looking at and finding people that are up to no good. We also have the command staff of the police department is bloated, and it has 50 people in it, as the chief says. And so we need to reduce that and move those out into the streets where they can fight crime. And finally, I want to have a juvenile crime unit. We all know that our juvenile criminals, they're getting younger and they're getting more vicious, and we have to have a department and officers who are designed to meet that challenge.
And our next question is...
Okie dokie. So a couple of things on their opening statements. Or I guess they're like, not opening statements. Their answers to crime. So Luis Sanchez, not a lot to talk about. No answer there. Alex had a couple of suggestions. It sounded like no real answers there. Keller, so to Keller's credit, he mentioned the license plate readers. So, as some of you know, the I love you, buddy. So some of you know I work at a security company. The security company that I work for provides security to one of the malls here, or like I don't know if they still do, or I think they still do. Any point is, one of the malls. No, they used to. They lost the contract. So the mall, one of the malls here in Albuquerque. At every entry point into the parking lot, they have a camera that reads license plates and immediately runs it for warrants. Feel about that how you will. There's obviously positives and negatives to that. The negative being slippery slope, big brother, whatever. Not whatever, but you know. So that is happening in the state. Here's my thing, right? I get that speeding can kill, but the idea that that's going to be a highlight, like as he's talking about the traffic cameras and like the license plate readers and he mentioned traffic cameras and like the gunshot stuff. That's the stuff he needs to focus on, the gunshot detection systems and stuff like that. I don't know anyone in Albuquerque that's in favor of the license plate readers or in favor of the new speed traps for obvious reasons. I mean, myself included. I'm like, oh, I'm going fucking fast, man. Sorry. And then when he mentions the civilian aspect of it, I'm not a fan of ACS. There's a lot of statistics about the amount of calls that they've been responding to, but what's the actual productivity and the actual like the quote unquote ROI on that kind of thing? Nobody can really articulate it that well. I don't know if anybody wants to because it doesn't really exist that much. But just the idea of, to me, I'd have to really, and I would like to, if anyone in that department or knows somebody in that department is watching or listening to this, please reach out to me because I want to speak to somebody from the mayor's office. I was trying to speak to the mayor, but none of his people returned emails or text messages or phone calls, so whatever. I have some of y'all's numbers, just saying. Anyway, you know, I would like to understand more of how ACS works, because I just don't like the idea of an unarmed civilian taking like mental health calls or whatever. I don't know. It's just strange to me. And then Darren White. So just to kind of expand on what he was talking about with the whole traffic stops, he went on Mark Ronchetti's podcast a while back. And the long story short of it is that they were basically, or he was articulating that he was turned to Albuquerque into like New York in the late 80s into the 90s with the stop and frisk issues. How like, and I understand it, like peer-to-peer policing is an important thing, but, and I know we have a lot of criminals, but just me personally, I don't love the idea of incentivizing police officers to make more traffic stops that can obviously lead to illegal or unethical traffic stops, right? And then looking for reasons to arrest people, looking for reasons to detain people. I just don't think that's the best way to go about things. In theory. Sorry, it's like I could see the argument for wanting to do that, but I just don't love it. Gotta be honest. I don't love it. And what I will say too, to Darren White's credit, both in podcast episodes that I've done with people. Oh, and Darren White also dodged the podcast. I have his personal cell phone number. We were going back and forth. I had his booker's or scheduler's number or email and completely ghosted. Ghosted text messages, ghosted email. So I don't know what that's all about. Whatever. Just I'll leave that up to interpretation. But to his credit, I was going to say something positive about him. Oh yeah. So in podcast episodes that I've done with mayoral candidates and interviews that I've seen with other ones that I haven't done a podcast with, they've pretty much all said, except for Keller, they've all said that the police chief is going to get fired for how horrible of a job he's done. And yet no one has said it on this debate stage yet, except for Darren White. So credit where it's due. I think that's worth noting. All right, let's get back into the debate. You know, one day I would love to make enough money to be able to hire a part-time producer. That'd be so cool.
From Dan Boyd with the Albuquerque Journal. Dan.
Good evening. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham authorized the deployment of the New Mexico National Guard troops to Albuquerque in April while citing a crime-related emergency. Do you support having National Guard members deployed in the city, and would you advocate for future such deployments?
First of all, what a disingenuous question. Now, I don't want to spoil it, but someone's going to get into the actual reasons of why they're deployed. This is the this is the question that made me want to pause it and do this reaction. Because what a disingenuous question this is. I'll explain why after they all do the explanations, but what a disingenuous question that is.
Julie Byers, you were first.
As a career attorney and someone who has worked for the Department of Justice for the past 10 years, I know that this gave up two key legal arguments and set a terrible precedent for our city going forward under the Trump administration. What we saw was we declared an emergency of crime, just like Trump did. We deployed National Guard, just like Trump did. And now the only final step here is for us to say, no, Trump, you cannot take over our National Guard or deploy National Guard here. We never should have broken these two precedents and invited this into our city. If we were to use the National Guard, there are meaningful ways to do it. Right? Their job and their mission is to deliver food, to deliver health care, to build temporary housing for folks, because the true crisis that we are facing here is homelessness. It is not crime. So while crime overlaps with this, the true focus of deployment of our resources here should have been to helping people in this city, not policing them.
I agree with that, but he should have been more specific.
You know, this is a great example of the difference in this campaign. Using the National Guard was something that we did together with our governor in a way that works for our city. We said they're going to be civilian work, and they're going to actually support APD to free up officers so they can fight violent crime. It's very much in step with the civilianization approach that I've been using so that our police department is more effective. It also helps prevent actually the president from using our National Guard because they're already deployed. This is something we knew in advance, and this is something we worked on together. But you see us doing it our way, and that's the key. It's not a national answer, it's an Albuquerque answer. If the National Guard can actually help our police department in the back office by doing traffic and by doing things that officers shouldn't be doing in the first place, of course we should say yes. That is a version of humanitarian and civilian aid, and that's what the National Guard is for. Now that doesn't mean by any stretch we do anything else, and that's where I want to be clear. We would never allow them to do law enforcement.
Thank you. Mr.
What a great answer that was. Like, legitimately. And I'll explain my thoughts in a bit, but what a great answer that was. For real.
White, you are next.
Let's remember what the governor said when she signed that emergency declaration. She said that crime is so out of control and the police department is not equipped any longer to handle it. That is a true failure of leadership. I'm the only person up here who's a veteran. I was a member of the 82nd Airborne Division. It's a serious thing when you deploy your National Guard. And these are people who are trained as fighters for our military. We deployed them here in Albuquerque in such a way that they were put into polo shirts and khaki pants. That's not the uniform of our military. I believe the governor deployed the National Guard here for a very good reason, because I agree with her. Crime is out of control. I don't agree with the way that they were deployed.
And Mr. Sanchez.
Albuquerque has 16 needs.
What a dumb way to answer that question. Again, I'll get into it in a bit, but what a dumb way to answer that question.
1,600 police officers in order to do the job correctly. When I came on the police department, there was 500, almost 500 officers that were assigned to field services. That is way more than we have now. It's double back 30 years ago than it's been now. With the deployment of the National Guard, that means that we are in dire straits. One of the things that I'm upset about is that we took the National Guard officer, or the National Guard, out of their role. If you're a military person and you are wearing camos and polo shirt, you're out of your role. Can you imagine if a police officer was deployed with the National Guard who is still in role and then can go to a domestic violence? You just double the amount of police officers and double the amount of crime fighting, making sure that they stayed in their role.
Imagine being
What a dumb non-answer. What a dumb non-answer. answer. Okay, so let's spend a little time on this, okay? Let's spend a little time on this dumbass. Oh my god, all of it. Okay. 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 This is okay. Okay. This is the question that made me want to stop and then get on a live stream. Because what a dumb exchange. Oh my god, I'm like excited. Because I'm like, wow, these guys are fucking, how can I answer this question better? Okay, so, I'll get to the comment here in a second. Okay, so, okay, so the National Guard, yes, the correct term for it is that they were deployed to Albuquerque. Yes, however, they were deployed. I'm yelling so loud that there's an echo. Okay, let me calm down. Let me take a breath. Okay, so they were deployed in administrative roles. They were deployed in administrative roles to Albuquerque Police Department to then, lighten the load that the police officers have to do so they can actually go out and do more police work, right? That's the basis. So like they're doing a lot of like admin stuff, they're doing a lot of training stuff. Like I know in the actual press releases and news stories about it, they're talking about how they were going to go and they were going to help them with like drone training, and they're going to help them with like DWI checkpoints. Like, cause if you live in Albuquerque, you've been through a checkpoint before, which I'm sure a lot of us have. They have like that giant trailer where they like blood alcohol test and what it helps with the field sobriety stuff. It's all administrative work. None of them were in uniform. None of them were in camo. None of them were armed. It was not a militarization of the police force. I need to be so crystal clear about that. It was not a militarization of the police force. Now, again, Luis Sanchez, have no idea what the fuck he was saying. Like, that dude's about as dead as Biden. Like, that, I have no idea what the fuck he was saying, this poor guy. I don't know if he's incompetent. I don't know if he's ignorant. I don't know if he's nervous. I don't want to bash the guy too hard, but like, you know what I mean? Okay. I think Alex's answer was subpar. I think he needed to be more specific about his details. But, that's also, though, I'm sure I wouldn't be too great in these debates either. Just because, like, maybe I'd be fine. But, like, I hate the, like, 60 seconds to answer a question type shit. You know what I mean? All right. Then you move to Keller. Keller answered that question perfectly. He articulated why the National Guard is being used, what they're doing, and then when he brings up Trump, it's like, how we're gonna, because he saw the writing on the wall, whatever. Okay, that's perfectly fine, but it's kind of, it's an answer, but it's a competent answer. Then we go to Darren White. Oh my God. Okay, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But the way I took that was that Darren White flat out said that, or insinuated, heavily alluded to, that the National Guard was called in because crime is so bad we need the military on the streets. That's what I got from that. Now, I could see, like, giving the benefit of the doubt, the points he was trying to make. You know what I mean? I could see that. But my God, did he do it in such a Republican and bad way. Like, if you want to lose an election in a blue state, just say you want the military on the streets. That's how you immediately lose an election. That's why this is so funny to me. And yeah, like, the fact that he, like, called upon his service in the 82nd Airborne, like, dude, stop it. If you're in the 82nd Airborne and you were active duty, then you know what the role of the National Guard is. You know that the role of the National Guard domestically is to provide national or domestic aid and assistance. It is not to fight wars domestically. I mean, I'm sure, like, okay, I'm sure if the fucking Russians or the Chinese, or I guess the Argentinians now, fucking flew into our country, we'd call in the National Guard to start fucking killing people. But they're deployed for natural disasters or needs of heavy relief and aid. It's kind of like the stuff Alex was articulating earlier. It's not to fight crime. And I know that Trump is doing that right now, and I'm not going to get into that tonight because I have conflicting feelings about that for sure. I'm mostly against it. But that's like, part of the reason I've been holding off on doing a weekend episode lately is because A, I've been super fucking busy and I want to prepare properly. One, but two, I really want to cover the stuff that's going on in Gaza, and that's taking a lot more time than I thought it was going to because it's ever changing, a lot more rapid than I thought it was going to be. And I wanted to cover, funny enough, the National Guard stuff. But that's going to take some time. I haven't had time to like really sit down and iron out my thoughts and really start talking about it like that. But like, you know what I mean? Come on, bro. I'm gonna look at the comment section really quick. Give me 2 seconds. I'm pulling up my comment section. Okay. Yeah, what was his MOS? I have no idea. They said we can't wear OCP uniform because it was too intimidating. That's hilarious. All right. Jeepers fucking creepers. You know what I mean? All right. Let's get back to the debate. Oh, fuck. Fuck, it's muted. It's muted. Okay.
From Bob Clark of News Radio KKOB. The city of Albuquerque has been employing more and more technology in recent years, like adding more speed cameras.
Okay, so so I should be transparent. I have not seen the debate from here on. So everything will be a real in time, like I have not seen this reaction. So, or not, yeah. So, yeah.
Bringing it back, shot spotters and adding to the real-time crime center as part of law enforcement strategy. How will you use technology in your administration to help fight crime? Mr. Kelly, you go first.
Well, this has been the hallmark of the new APD. And the reason is because it works and it's more effective and it's faster and it's cheaper. So when you think about the automated speed cameras that we already put out, they have reduced speed everywhere we put them. And also, if you get one of those tickets, it's actually a good thing because it freed up an officer that didn't give you that ticket, right? So they can fight violent crime. And so we already are in the works of doubling the number of automated speed enforcement. And with respect to ShotSpotter and license plate readers, we have it over 20% of the city. And in those areas, when there is a shooting, it used to be only a 50% chance that APD would catch you and arrest you. Now, because we triangulate all this technology, when we find a gun case, we run the databases, there is a 99% chance we will arrest you and we will put you in jail.
That's bullshit, but whatever.
Platform over the entire city. That's one reason why I'm running for another term, because everyone deserves that kind of safety. It is absolutely doable, and that's why we have to do technology first and then civilization and community policing.
Mr. White, your reply.
I just want to say real quick, I doubt that if there was a crime stopping ability that had a 99% efficacy rate, I doubt that anybody would get rid of that during their administration. Just throwing that out there. I just doubt it for some reason. I doubt it.
You know, that is a big difference between the mayor and myself. He believes that the way that we're going to fight our crime problem is through technology and through civilians. It's not. It's got to be law enforcement officers out on the streets fighting crime. He talks about this speed camera, that it frees up officers, but what it did was it gave up a vital strategy of any law enforcement organization. Speed cameras don't learn if somebody that they pull over happens to have a warrant for their arrest. That speed camera can't tell you if that person that they pulled over is up to no good. We have basically relinquished a major part of our law enforcement strategy to technology, and it just doesn't work. And let's talk about how it doesn't work. Over 50% of the people they're not even paying their tickets. And so they just ignore this. It's not slowing anybody down, and it's not changing anybody's behavior, and we are losing a crime-fighting tool by relying on technology.
Mr. Sanchez.
ACS can't enforce the law. I wonder how many ACS officers or cameras actually issue warrants for their arrest if somebody's out there running around with a warrant. Are is that camera gonna be able to catch the individual who's running from a police officer? Is that camera going to be able to snap a picture and then later get followed up? We have rolls and rolls and rolls of camera film that has not been followed up on. And that is not the way to police. What we need is 1,600 police officers on the streets of Albuquerque to do the job. I would actually say if we need to change the tech.
Ads. What are you gonna do?
License plate readers will actually do more good than anything because they'll alert the police officers, let them know if that individual has a crime going on, let them know if there's a stolen car rolling by. Use that kind of technology followed up by an officer using a traffic stop or an arrest.
And Mr. Ubayas.
I'll take a slightly different approach here. I think our technology, first of all, needs to talk to each other. So we need to think about county-wide how we enforce and leverage the technology that we have to enforce across the borders that affect everyone here in our metropolitan area. But I also think we need to balance that with safeguards for our privacy. So we're not over-collecting and over-policing in a time where we know the federal government is relying on technology to surveil us. And so for me, what that looks like is I know the power of our technology, right? Breaking the Solomon Pena case had everything to do with the power of the federal technology that is NIBIN, which is basically like a fingerprints for bullets. But what we can't do is over-police and over-surveil our population so that we are collecting information for the federal government. So there has to be a balance here, a smart way to both expand the network of what we are doing to catch folks driving serious crime, and also restrict the amount of information that we are collecting so that we're actually focused on changing the issue, whether it's making our community safer or making our streets and drivers go slower, instead of...
Time is up, Mr. Ubayas. Thank you.
Okay, so I agree with that last part. Again, and it's based on principle. I don't love an overly surveilled society. I don't think anybody should love that. Just right there. And the idea that, like, okay, with Keller's answer, that's the one I really want to harp on a little bit. I'll get to Darren White a little bit too. But with Keller, something tells me, just based on living in Albuquerque, I'm not going to pull up stats right now. I just want to react. Truthfully, if I had somebody else here, I would be like deep fact checking. And I also don't want to sit here for 3 fucking hours while I fact check. But I don't believe, and I don't think any citizen of Albuquerque would believe, that there is a 99% catch and in jailing efficacy rate of people that are caught by the shot spotters, the things that detect gunshots. I find that very, very hard to believe. And everyone in Albuquerque knows that with our ROR system, the release on recognizance, even if these people are getting caught, they're getting released right after. So what the fuck is the point? It's obviously not working on the back end. And then with Darren White's point, I understand his idea of like you need to have police on the street doing the job, not have everything be automated. I agree with that. But his answers to me just really boil down to what they've been the last couple of times, where he just wants an overly, not oppressive police state, but he wants it's giving the impression that if he is mayor, he is gonna give the police quotas to arrest to. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Like, he's going to give police officers a quota of people they have to arrest per month, per week, whatever. And I don't love that. I'm not saying he hasn't said that, but his answers are leading me to that conclusion. Okay.
And our next question comes from Shelley Rubando. Shelley.
Next year will mark the 100th anniversary of Route 66, which was once the backbone of Albuquerque's economy. A century later, many businesses are leaving Central Avenue because of high crime and open drug use on the streets. What's needed to restore Albuquerque's part of the Mother Road to its former glory?
Mr. White, you go first.
Well, what's needed, Shelley, is a new mayor. And I happen to know a guy. You're right. It is the 100th celebration of the Mother Road. And Congress has allocated a considerable amount of money to have a celebration all across the country, from small towns to large towns. Albuquerque is not ready for the party. It's an absolute mess. But let me tell you this, Shelley, one thing that's also important. We need to clean up the city of Albuquerque as it relates to the homeless problem because it is out of control. But we don't need to do it just when there's an event or a celebration. We all know that when Balloon Fiesta comes, everybody from the city goes out and cleans up our city. We need to keep our city clean every single day, not just for the people who are visiting, but for the people that live here and their quality of life.
So you want to be a software engineer?
I don't want to be a software engineer. I just want less ads in my YouTube.
Thank you. Mr. Sanchez.
I have a business on Central Avenue, and every single day I have to go out and I have to clean urine and defecation that has happened overnight. I've had my windows broken 6 times in the last year, and this administration said that they were going to offer help by offering
Thanks, buddy.
small businesses help to fix their windows. I was in city council when I asked for that help, and that help never came. I asked his CAO, and she still to this day has not helped me out with fixing the windows. I wonder what other individuals up and down Central are going through. I know this is a leadership issue. Crime's out of control. We have no public trust. Killer is reactive and not proactive, and we are losing economic development down Central Avenue with the amount of boarded up businesses. We need to incentivize the businesses that are there. We need to make sure that we actually open up those left-hand turns so businesses want to come back to Route 66. We're not ready for our celebration, but we can be very, very quick if I'm mayor.
Okay, so not a whole lot of note there. I don't know. A whole lot of non-answers. But a good buddy of mine that is watching the podcast right now did some fact-checking on stupid-ass Keller. You know, I probably shouldn't be insulting him so much because I still want to sit down with him on the podcast, but like, when you dodge my emails, when your people dodge my calls and my texts, you know, sorry, bud. Okay, so going back to the ShotSpotter thing. So a buddy of mine sent me a link. And so Albuquerque Journal analysis found that in 2022, officers were dispatched to more than 12,000 ShotSpotter alerts, collecting 13,000 bullet casings and detaining 75 suspects. But in 9,000, or 75% of the times police were dispatched, officers found no evidence of a shooting. Medina said, and Medina's the police chief, Medina said that he would like to see ShotSpotters placed at other locations across the city, including at, quote, educational institutions and public buildings to, quote, indicate something happening inside. So 75% of the time, they found nothing. They got no one. Great job, Keller. You just got fact-checked in real time by a bunch of 20-year-olds or 2 20-year-olds. One 20-year-old and one 20-year-old with a microphone. Good job, dummy. Proud of you. Lying to the people like a politician does. Proud of you, you fucking dunce. Come on, man. If it's that easy, maybe I will go get my laptop here in a little bit. Okay. Anything in the chat? Nothing? All right, let's get back to it, shall we? Thanks, buddy, again. Love you.
Mr. Rubias?
Dealing with public safety and homelessness is foundational to changing the way our city looks and feels. If we don't solve for the problems that drive people to either crime or to the streets, then we will continue to suffer in the city that looks like the city we live in today. That means looking at poverty, at addiction, and mental health, and addressing these issues first and foremost, and not simply sweeping the streets and throwing away people's stuff so that we can clean them for a celebration like the Balloon Fiesta or like Route 66. This takes a deep investment in our community, not just the people who live on the streets and who drive crime, but especially our small business owners who are suffering along Route 66, and also investing in our artists, and our public artists, and people who can make our city beautiful, and to develop a Route 66 that reflects the culture and the special place that Albuquerque is.
Support your local comedian. Yeah, again, another non-answer. Life sucks in Albuquerque, whatever. I do want to point out an interesting statistic. I don't know how true it became, but this is a projection that came out about a week for the Balloon Fiesta. So Balloon Fiesta just ended last weekend, and Balloon Fiesta is a 2-week event. It is estimated, it was like a week before, it was estimated that Albuquerque was going to get about, it was either 818,000 or 880,000. It's a big jump, I understand that. But north of 800,000 people were going to come to Albuquerque in that 2 weeks. And let's see, population of Albuquerque is 560,000. So we were going to more than double our population during those 2 weeks. I'm sure we made a lasting impression on those folks. That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Mr. Keller.
Well, there's just a whole lot of myths that are floating around, and I just have to call them out. I want to be really clear. Our traffic stops are up because we have speed cameras and we have them on Central. Our warrants are up, our arrests are up, but also what is up is how we're approaching and helping the unhoused. Because we created a department to actually do that. That's the real work that we do every day. Thousands are offered help off the street into the gateway system. You have to have somewhere to go, and you have to have someone to help them. That is what I've established. But we have to keep going. We've got to build on this momentum. That's why we're actually converting all these rundown hotels. We're closing them, and we're converting them to housing, because that addresses both crime and homelessness and Route 66. That's also why we're doing it with vacant office buildings like the San Mateo building on Central, converting it into housing so that it's an asset for the community. That's how we help Route 66.
Okay, I have to call bullshit on that. Okay, I have to call bullshit on that. Okay, so, okay, I almost want to listen to that one more time. Let's just do that. Let's do that one more time.
But also what is up is how we're approaching and helping the unhoused. Because we created a department to actually do that. That's the real work that we do every day. Thousands are offered help off the street into the gateway system. You have to have somewhere to go. And you
Okay.
have to have someone to help them.
Okay, so I encourage everyone. So there's been a few really good documentaries on YouTube that are like these like guerrilla style journalistic documentaries, where these guys are going into the war zone. Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 did one, and a couple other YouTube channels did it that are really, really well done. These people that are on the streets are not getting the necessary help, first of all. It's just not happening. Second of all, a lot of these people that are on the streets are not accepting the help. They are staying on the street because... Now, I don't know if this is, I can't remember if this is a state fund or if this is a city fund, but homeless people can get a stipend from the government every month while they are homeless. So that's encouraging them to stay on so they are getting help, I suppose, but it's keeping them on the street. Listen, drugs are cheap. Hookers are cheap. Gas station food is cheap. You can shit on the sidewalk. You can do fentanyl on the sidewalk. You can fuck on the sidewalk under the fucking freeway underpasses. This is all things that are happening in Albuquerque that are not getting taken care of. The Gateway System, or the Gateway Center. Again, the company, I don't want to like completely out myself here. I know what's going on at the Gateway Center, okay? It's not working. When they built the Gateway Center and opened it, there was heavy asbestos poisoning, so that stopped all functions. Then, when they actually opened the Gateway Center for help, they were like retaining next to nobody, from what I was understanding. And then they opened a secondary place, which is it's called like the Gateway. Before that they opened the tiny homes, which is just basically just a revolving door of homeless people. And then they just opened a secondary community for homeless people, these little pod systems that will house like 60 people, and they've only been able to house like 15 at max. These systems, they start them, but they don't work, and they're a waste of money. If you're looking at a thing for money laundering, this might be it. I doubt that it's happening. I just doubt the city government's that fucking smart. But, well, actually, I'm not going to say that because a lot of money that was taken from COVID funds went to bonuses and that's not really laundering money. But anyway, you know what I mean? Like, they're just not smart enough to do shit like that. The shit's not working. That's what I'm trying to say. The things that the mayor's articulating right now is not true, and it's not working. It's not working. Okay, back to the debate. Holy macaroni.
This question is coming from Dana. Go
Oh my goodness.
With visible increases in homelessness across the city, what is your plan to address both immediate shelter needs?
Can we just say how the mayor just got done saying they're fixing homelessness and it's going down, and the guy opens with a question saying, with visible homelessness increasing across the city. I'm not even buzzed yet. Like, this isn't... this is insane. Oh, this is insane.
Long-term housing solutions, especially in coordination with local nonprofits and service providers.
Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you. Currently, we have spent $300 million. This administration has spent over $300 million, and anybody to this day can drive up and down Central Avenue. We were just recently told that the pit count that was out there on the street, that's the amount of homeless people that are out there, has doubled in the last 3 years. That is what we're doing. We're attracting people to come here and commit crime on the streets. I don't see people who are just sleeping on the streets and are out there. I see people who are dealing drugs. I see people who are using prostitution and shoplifting and using the buses to escape the law enforcement. That's what I see. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we find solutions, and that solution would be to enforce the laws at the lower levels, making sure that we guide the individuals into projects that will push them away from homelessness and do valid treatment. Right now, we have treatment that is
Time is
not
up, Mr.
successful.
Sanchez. Thank you. Mr. Rubias, you are next.
I don't think that arresting everyone for jaywalking is a solution. But I also don't think that throwing away people's personal belongings is a solution either. It actually makes it much more difficult for a person to get off of the streets. And by the way, it's just a mean thing to do. I've walked the streets out in East Central. I've talked with folk who have told me that things as tragic as their father's ashes being thrown away. And the most common thing for a person to lose in one of these 200 sweeps that Tim Keller's administration conducts per week is an identification card. Losing an ID card makes it infinitely more impossible for you to get off the streets, to get a job, to find housing, to connect with benefits. Instead, what we need to do is a comprehensive approach of street medicine, where we do outreach proactively, of transitional housing, so people have a way out of the Gateway Center and into true housing, and implementing the sequential intercept model as led by Miami in our criminal justice system to identify people suffering from serious mental illnesses and connect them with services.
Thank you. Mr. Keller, you are next, please.
You know, to say things that aren't just true, I think is just sad. And to hear a politician stand up here and just lie about what we do on the street, I don't care about that. But you know who does? The workers who do this every day.
What?
Throw away IDs. And if we do by accident, those people are held accountable. We do not sweep. We clean. There's a huge difference. And we offer services. And we offer help. We can do more.
This is why I hate politicians. It's the same thing, you fuck.
Than just let people be trafficked and exposed to drugs on the streets. That's what my administration is about. It's about solving the problem. It's not about just looking at it and wishing it was better.
Co-producer is going to give...
What?
So that's why we created the ACS department. That's why we created the Gateway Center. Because when I came into office, we took care of 0 people every night on the street. And now tonight, city workers working hard every day to actually give people access to treatment, to help them. And we always offer storage. We do that thousands of times now. Every single night, 1,000 people get help in the city. What we have to do is keep up that momentum and help another 1,000. That's a future. That's a real answer. That's not a politician way out of blaming someone
Time
else.
is up, Mr. Keller.
Okay, but like, define the way they're getting help. Is it just that they're getting money from the state? Is it getting a police interaction or an ACS interaction considering help? Like, what? Define these things. You see, you have to read between the lines with this bullshit. You have to read between the lines, motherfucker. Oh my God.
Thank you. Mr. White.
You know, Mayor Keller talks a lot about the hundreds of millions of dollars that he has spent on programs and services for the homeless. He talks in his TV ad about having made 1,000 beds available for the homeless. What the hell do we have to show for it? We have a homeless problem that is out of control. I have said, look, we need to go and offer the services that are available to the homeless. And if they don't take us up on those services, if they ignore us, we have to enforce the law. The laws are very clear in Albuquerque. You can't camp on the streets, on the sidewalks, on our parks. We'll give them an opportunity to take advantage of the services, or they will be cited or arrested. Some say, well, that's cruel. You know what's cruel? If you're a family that lives in that neighborhood where all these tent cities are, if you're a business that's struggling to survive in that environment, Mayor, you're not sweeping anything. You're just moving it back and forth. It's just homeless whack-a-mole, and it hasn't worked, and it's destroying our city.
Thank you, Mr.
That's the best answer so far, in my opinion. So I got a lot of flack from a few people and a lot of questions about that reel that I posted yesterday about my calling it homeless issues. Just really quick, just my opinion on this homeless issue, really quick. Pretty much what he just said. The idea, because if you're looking at any political problem, in my opinion, you have to start at the idea of personal liberties and how to protect them and how to identify where they're being infringed upon and then work from there. Okay, that's where you have to start. So, the idea that allowing people to just be on the street, now granted, we do have laws against that, but they're clearly not being enforced, right? So the idea to turn a blind eye to that is humane, because you hear a lot of leftists say that. It's like, oh, it's America, so do what they want. They're blah, 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 blah. Okay, homelessness is a very bad thing, okay? And homeless people should be treated with a base level of dignity and respect because they are humans. Okay, obviously. But the idea that you're going to let them either just flat out let them live on the street, or you're going to turn a blind eye to it and call it humanitarian or call it like whatever, is absolutely fucking asinine to me, first of all. Second of all, like he just said, there are, and like I was saying in that reel, there are citizens, there are families of Albuquerque that are taxpayers that pay for the roads, pay for the sidewalks, pay for the schools, right? Pay for the public parks where all these homeless people are hanging out around, dirtying up, bringing crime, disease, drugs, all these. I know it's an ugly thing to say, but it's the fucking truth, okay? It's the fucking truth. The idea that you're going to put that liberty to do that over the people that are paying for the shit and trying to use it freely with the expectation that they're not going to run into homeless people is asinine. It is absolutely crazy to me. It's crazy to me. So exactly, if they're refusing services, but if I was mayor, it's probably like a governor thing. If I was governor, the first thing I would do, all non-violent drug offenders in our state prisons, gone. Immediately pardoned. Amnesty. Out. On the street. Couple $1,000s for your wage. We're sorry we had to lock you up for that bullshit. Gone. Then, with all that freed up area, you take the homeless people that are refusing services and you fucking lock them up. You get the people that have mental health issues, state-supported facilities. You get them off the street. I don't know why that's so controversial. Truly.
Mayor, would you like to have a rebuttal, 30 seconds?
I would. You know, if you think about what you're hearing, on the one hand, you're hearing things that simply aren't true and yet not an answer. On the other hand, you're hearing these examples of how we should just totally treat the homeless like they're not people. These folks deserve a chance at help. That is what my administration does at the same time as balancing public safety. We enforce drug laws. We enforce human trafficking laws. That's why we actually do clean encampments and offer services. You got to do two things at once when you're mayor. You can't just...
Time is up. Thank you.
Can I just say something to that? It's not what we're hearing, Mayor.
It doesn't qualify. I'm sorry. Our next question comes from Bob Clark. Following up on that part of the conversation, all of you can answer this question. How will you plan to deal with the homeless people and their encampments for those who continue to refuse help and services over and over again? Mr. Ubayez, you go first.
It's interesting to be called a liar by somebody who hasn't walked the streets and talked with people who live on it. I can challenge every single one of you out there tonight to go talk with someone in East Central and ask them whether their belongings have been swept and thrown away. And I know the answer, because I do it. And so I think the answer does have to involve dignity. We don't have to fall to cruelty, because the problem is we are not offering the services that we are saying that we are, right? Have you been to the West Side Shelter? That's where
the idea that locking people away for breaking a law is cruel is fucking dumb, by the way. Just saying.
Vast majority of our 1,000 people off the streets are. Those people are served by 3 caseworkers and no medics. They're 1 hour out of town. They have to take a bus in. And by the way, they give up their basic dignity to live there. They get searched. They have curfews. They don't have the right to associate with other people.
Are you looking to...
Good! Sorry! Good! They're obviously not... I'm gonna... Hang on. Okay. They're obviously not adjusting to civilized society well, so get them outside of society while they rehabilitate. Good!
Any of you would choose, and I would never ask you to choose the West Side Shelter over dignity and freedom. We have to actually provide services and supports. And
I understand that homeless people have mental health issues, but the idea that you deserve the same privileges or liberties as people that have not broken the law when you have broken the law is insane.
Housing to get people off of the streets and back into our community.
Mr. Kelly, you're next.
Well, first off, we've all walked the streets. I understand every can. I was born and raised here. I live here. I'm on our streets every day. So I think we can at least accept that about all of us. And the truth is, we do have a West Side shelter, the West Side Gateway, and it was an old jail. And my predecessor was the one who started that. What I did was rehab it. And now we also add services. And so it absolutely has more than 3 social workers. That's just wrong. That shows that you haven't been there and you don't know that much about it. Also, I know this. That's why we built the Gateway Center, is to eventually replace the West Side Gateway so that we have medical sobering, so that we have housing navigation centers for men and women. And so most importantly, we have fentanyl treatment. And we already do street medicine. The answer to this is we have to do more. And that's what you see. You see candidates either proposing my ideas or just blaming the problem. I'm the one actually doing the work. That's why we got to keep it up.
Mr. Robinas, would you like 30 seconds for rebuttal?
You know I've been to the West Side Shelter. You know because I set it up to the director. The director who you fired for letting me take a tour.
She's not the director, and I didn't fire her.
She is no longer the director. That is correct.
Fact check. Channel.
Oh, shit!
Mr. White, you're next, please. Go ahead.
Mayor, it's not what we're hearing. It's what we see with our eyes every single day. If they took those homeless camps and those encampments and moved them to the country club, I would tell you you would act within 2 minutes to make sure that they were taken down. That is not fair to those families that have to live through the unimaginable, the unthinkable what their families are seeing, or those businesses. I will tell you, if I'm elected mayor, this is not hard. Those encampments come down on day 1. As I said to you, we will offer them the services, but we will make sure they understand the law will be enforced. The reason why they're all over our city is because the mayor allows it to happen. It is going unchecked. And folks, the Journal, if you don't believe it, the Journal said 90% of the public 2 weeks ago said crime and homelessness are the issues that are affecting our quality of the most, and it's what we as leaders should be addressing.
I tried everything. Coffee.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've said all I have to say about the homeless issue, so we're just going to react to anything new here.
Allow for rebuttal, but I won't in this case because we've had 2 questions addressing homelessness. Mr. Sanchez, you have the final reply on this.
Thank you. Crime and homelessness is our biggest problem. We also need to have some economic growth. But our biggest issue is crime and homelessness. Again, I'm going to say it. $300 million spent, and look at the streets. They are not changing. We still have a problem. We still have an issue with drugs, and we still have an issue with fentanyl. Recently, we attended a forum, and the forum had individuals who actually were in this Gateway Center that the mayor talked about. And one of the things, I know he's going to say he went out and helped them, but you know what? He went and helped them after the fact. Again, I said the mayor's policies are reactive and not proactive. We should be out there vetting and auditing these programs. One of the things we heard is we lost one program who lost their contract, got a new program, and the new program is worse than the one that we left before. Under my administration, we will be making sure that all of these programs are vetted and constantly looked at to make sure that the people are getting the services they deserve.
Mr. Sanchez, thank you. We're going to move on to the
So again, a non-answer from Luis Sanchez, the poor guy. He just doesn't have it. Alex, if you're watching, good job clapping back at fucking Keller for that. That was sick. Good job, buddy.
Coming now with a question from Shelley Ravando.
Graffiti, vandalism, and neglected public spaces affect both perception and...
And if you hear a fan in the background or you see the fan, yeah, it's gotten to the point with my computer where, so if I turn on the internal fans, it's too loud. So I have an external fan cooling down my computer because it's about to explode like a damn bomb. So, you know, what are you going to do?
economic vitality?
Support the podcast so I can get a new computer.
What is your approach to maintaining clean, safe neighborhoods, especially in the business corridors?
Mr. Keller, you go first.
Well, this is what we've been working on so hard to revitalize our city because we're 40 years behind on this. But you see the resurgence all around you. We've been investing in Windrock. That has now been transformed.
Wait, what did he just say? Wait a minute. What?
In the city. We're adding amazing destination parks.
Move on to the economy now with a question from Shelley Ravando.
Graffiti, vandalism, and neglected public spaces affect both perception and economic vitality. What is your approach to maintaining clean, safe neighborhoods, especially in the business corridors?
Mr. Keller, you go first.
Well, this is what we've been working on so hard to revitalize our city because we're 40 years behind on this. But you see the resurgence.
So we're 4 years behind on this and you've been in office for 8? Why should you be reelected?
All around you. We've been investing in Windrock. That has now been transformed and is an amazing place with one of the coolest parks in the city. We're adding amazing destination parks where families can be safe, like Wells Park and Filter-Cone Park in the International District. But we're also making sure that we build economic hubs all over the...
I know I'm breaking my own rules here. I understand that. But hang on. Let's just... Hey, citizens of Albuquerque, have families. Do you want to take your family to a park in the International District right now? Is that a fun family outing? To go to the fucking war zone? Is that an outing for you and your family? Oh, yeah. Let's go down to the war zone. Let's go to a park. Let's go to Wells Park. Let's go to a park off of fucking what? Where's that other park at? It's off of like San Mateo and Central, like Louisiana. Yeah, let's go to the war zone with little Timmy so he can throw a fucking frisbee. But while the frisbee's in the air, it's going to get shot. Let's go do that. That's a fun family Saturday. What the fuck? What?
An example of that is 7th and Central. It is undeniably awesome and it's undeniably Albuquerque, and it was a curated plan that we want to use as a proof point to do in other places. Filter-Cone Park in the International District. But we're also making sure that we build economic hubs all over the city. An example of that is 7th and Central. It is undeniably awesome and it's undeniably Albuquerque, and it was a curated plan that we want to use as a proof point to do in other places. We see the C&M Film Academy coming into the rail yards this fall. That is going to happen, and that's going to bring hundreds of students down to downtown every day. We're working with UNM to try and move them downtown as well to help the downtown core. And we're giving downtown its own control so that it can actually have its own rules and event schedule and its own tax revenue. So it's known as the Tax Increment District and the Business Development District. But we want to do this in other parts of the city too. That's why you see us working to make sure everything we can accommodate, like
Time is up,
now.
Okay, let's be perfectly honest about what he just said there. He said that he developed 7th and Central to be a hub for Albuquerque. Okay, let's just look at what's on 7th and Central and what's been... So the newest thing down there is the Ex Novo Brewing Company. Okay, great. I doubt that, like, he had the majority hand in making that happen, but whatever. Let's give that to him. Okay. There's an automotive store that's been there for years. I hardly see anybody fucking there. Okay. Then we see the El Rey Theater. Been there forever. A Holocaust Museum. That's fun. Launchpad. The Founders inside the El Rey. And then that's also where Inside Out is at. And then there's a barbershop down there. And then, oh, yeah. Just down the street at 6th and Central, that's where Dry Heat Comedy Club used to be. Now, they did move to a different location, but due to small business issues in Albuquerque, they had to close down. Crazy! That happened in that area. There's tons of police activity on 7th and Central in that parking lot. If any of you have ever been down there, that parking lot always has cops in it throughout the week at night due to crime and auto theft and fights and just general ne'er-do-wellism. So what has he done on 7th and Central that has been so good? That was him doing it. The biggest attractions on 7th and Central are concert and music venues. How is that your doing? Is it because you're the metal mayor? Are people going to see death metal concerts to see a cameo from their fucking mayor? You're a liar, Tim Keller. You are a liar. Holy shit. What a I corrected that lie with Google Maps, bro. Holy shit!
Are all of our city.
Mr. White, you go next.
We have got to the point where literally
I've gotten to the point where I'm spazzing out on my own podcast.
Shelley, you're right. The business corridor is important because that's the welcome mat to your city. When people are coming in from around the country, from around the world, to explore whether they want to set up shop in Albuquerque, the business corridor is going to be one of the first places that they visit. Can you imagine? Think about what Central Avenue looks like right now every single day with homeless people who almost look like zombies, who are doing open air fentanyl, some doing other things that are just unspeakable. It's disgusting and it needs to change. Mayor Keller said something interesting. He said that downtown, he wants them to be able to make their own rules and do their own enforcement. It seems to me like when the mayor keeps saying something, when he talks about technology and civilians, it's like he's giving up. He's like he's saying, look, we've tried, I can't do it. I'm putting the ball in your court now. Economic development is critically important. Let me also say, if we don't get a
Mr. White, time is up. Mr. Mayor, would you like a 30-second rebuttal?
I would. You know, the challenge around downtown, I think this is a good one where at least those of us who were born and raised here, downtown has been a challenge for decades. And part of the problem is that we look to mayors and politicians to fix it. I do think that's part of the problem. I agree with you, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying with our tax increment district, they get their own money and then they can decide what to do with it. The actual community, giving power to the community, I think, is leadership. That is something that I've listened and heard about for decades, and it's something no politician has ever been willing to do.
Time is up. Mr. Sanchez, you are next.
Thank you. When we get right down to it, it's leadership, crime's out of control, and the public does not trust the leadership. What we need to do is we need to change that. Put a new leader in there, and that's the bottom line. Did you know that there's no Fortune 500 company headquarters in Albuquerque? Did you know that we in Albuquerque are 5% over the poverty level on a national average? Those things are not good for our city. That puts us on the bottom of any kind of good list, and we need to make sure that we're changing that. Kirtland's the only game in town when it comes to large business, large corporation, and we need to change that. I will hire the best economic development director in the country to make sure that we have the business solutions that we need here in Albuquerque. We also need to make sure that we preserve and prioritize our small businesses so that we don't lose any and no one else closes their doors. Those are my priorities.
Time is up. Thank you.
Thank God.
You have the final reply.
We need to invest in city services that keep our streets clean, so solid waste is not sweeping encampments, but instead sanitizing and cleaning our central corridor. We need to invest in our small businesses, both through incentives and through building the environment around them. This looks like you taking advantage of the zoning changes that we've made to build in density, especially downtown, and also along our transit corridors, so folks can live and walk and work all in the same area. This is how you revitalize a space. This is how you bring people to go and patronize our small businesses. This is how you build an environment
Bad phrasing, but okay.
to live in, to walk in, to work in, and will love as the heart of our city.
Are staying on that topic.
So at least he's giving some kind of an answer. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to react to there, except the major thing was that Tim Keller fucking nonsense that he spewed out. But yeah, I mean, that Luis Sanchez guy, I'm getting to the point where I just want to skip past all his answers, but I'm not going to because that'd be unfair. But that dude just has no answers to anything. This guy just is not prepared for this debate. And are debates indicative of actual ability in the office? No. But, like, something has to be said for your oratory ability. I mean, holy shit, man.
Our next question comes from Dan Lloyd. Dan.
Another fucking ad, dude. Holy shit. Sponsor the podcast so I can have YouTube Premium.
Local businesses are the backbone of Albuquerque's economy. What policies would you champion to support small business growth, attract new investment, and ensure economic development benefits all parts of the city?
Mr. White, you go first.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's an important question.
Wait, what was the question? That just sounded like a statement. Hey, wait a minute. Did I miss a question?
Our next question comes from Dan Lloyd. Dan.
Local businesses are the backbone of Albuquerque's economy. What policies would you champion to support small business growth, attract new investment, and ensure economic development benefits all parts of the city?
Mr. White, you go first.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's an important question. 2/3 of all jobs in Albuquerque are created by small businesses. You know, it's important, as I said, that we do welcome in businesses from around the country and around the world. But we have to partner with our small businesses because they are the backbone of our economy. They are what drives our economy. One of the things that we've heard on the campaign trail time and time again is it takes too long to get plans done through the zoning department. We've been told that there's times where it could take a year, sometimes 18 months, to get those plans back. And as a small business owner, I can tell you, if you have to wait 18 months to get your plans back, you're wasting money, you're losing money. You'll take your business elsewhere. And so I have proposed that.
So I just fact checked because it didn't sound right to me. So I decided to fact check. Let me get this out of here. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that didn't sound right to me. I fact checked how many jobs are created by small businesses in Albuquerque, because Darren White said 2/3. Google says, while there is no specific data for Albuquerque alone, approximately 54% of the workforce in New Mexico was employed by small businesses. Oh, this is back in 2017. That's not good. Let me see if I have anything that's more concrete. Nope, that's not going to do it. Okay, small businesses accounted for 53.7% of New Mexico employment in 2019. So maybe it's 2/3 in Albuquerque, maybe, but it doesn't seem like it to me.
Privatize that planning department and the zoning department so that we can get those plans through quicker. We can make ourselves friendly. Most importantly, I'll be a partner with small business,
Time
not
is
an
up.
adversary.
Mr. White, Mr. Sanchez, you are next.
Thank you. Small business is the backbone of our economy. It puts people to work. It puts high schoolers to work. It puts middle-aged adults to work. It puts people that need a job to work. Small businesses are everywhere. Albuquerque has over 40,000 small businesses.
Luis Sanchez 2025. Small businesses put people who need a job to work. Good Lord.
And we need to make sure that we're prioritizing those small businesses so that they don't close their doors. If a small business is in trouble, we need to make sure that we act. If there's issues that we can do to help, if there's things we can do to help that small business, we need to do it. With my administration, I will make sure that I use the city's bonding power credit rating to incentivize small businesses that can come in so that they can have immediate money for startup. If they want to scale their business or open another location, then we can help them. A small business concierge service will make sure that we are adequately protecting and preserving our small business.
Thank you. Mr. Ubaez, you are next.
Look at that, an answer. Look at that.
Supporting our small businesses, we build the future of this city. So we first need to start with our youth in training and skills and support for entrepreneurship so that when they get out of high school, they can pursue their dreams. But it also means making it easier for small businesses to build, to start up, and to sustain and thrive here. That means not making small businesses have to be an expert in government bureaucracy just to start up their dreams. What we should instead be doing is have a customer service mentality so that when somebody comes to us with their proposal, we are getting them to yes as quickly as possible because that time lost is money lost. And finally, looking at how we can use incentives.
I'll get to you, Spence. I'll get to you.
To our largest developers. We should be giving them to our smallest businesses in their first and infant days. That way they can grow and build the businesses that will drive our economy.
Thank you. And our final reply comes from Mr.
Okay, so just real quick to Spencer's comment. Okay, so far in the debate, we are about 39 minutes into, less than 39%. Who do I think is lying in the debate so far? Well, I think it's ranging from lying to just not knowing the truth, which isn't lying, but you just don't have your facts right. We're going to exclude Luis Sanchez from this because he doesn't know a whole lot of much. God bless him. He's just not giving real answers to that last one. We're almost 40 minutes in. He's had no answer. Tim Keller is flat out lying. I think Alex Ubaez is sticking to close to the truth as he can. And then Darren White is just like kind of just shooting in the dark, like getting close enough to the mark, but not really. But if we're talking about lying the most, it's fucking Tim Keller. The most experienced politician is the one lying the most. What a crazy Data access, that is. Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed? Who? Oh my God. Yeah, great question. Yeah, great fucking question, bud. Good to have you here. Stick around. We've got about 20 minutes left.
Well, I think you heard good ideas. What's missing is how to actually do them, and that's what we want to do. Workforce development is about partnering with APS. That's why we're part of the Career Academy to actually get trades back into schools. We also know that it means investing in small businesses, but how? Well, we're offering all of our incentives to small businesses if they agree to hire 10 more people. That's connecting the workforce challenge to the incentive challenge. But you also have to look at big employers. That's why I supported Pacific Fusion. That's why I support investing in the future of America and Albuquerque. That even has to do with esoteric things like quantum computing. And so for me, it's about growing the employer base.
In what universe is quantum computing esoteric? I dropped out of college 4 times, and I know that that's essential to the growth of our country right now. What?
It's about growing the workforce base, and it's about supporting small businesses. And that's actually how you do it, not just what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so just one thing.
Go ahead, please.
All right, so one thing I want to get on there really quick. So he said that there's an incentive, and this is cherry picking, but I think it's worth talking about. So he said that there's an incentive where if a small business hires more than 10 people, they get more benefits. Listen, I guess I'm technically a small business owner because I have an LLC for the podcast, but like, you know what I mean? But no, actually, let's use me as an example. Let's say because I am an entrepreneur. So let's say that I had a huge following and this was my living, right? So this is my living and I had an employee. Well, my small business does not require 10 people. If I had millions of dollars and I decided to stay in Albuquerque for some reason, but let's say I had millions of dollars and I decided that I was going to, I just realized I didn't check the audio very much. So hang on, we're going to take a quick audio break. Give me 2 seconds. Oh man, I've been turned down like crazy. Why didn't nobody tell me that? Okay, am I louder? Does this sound better? How does this sound? Does this sound good? We're going to turn that up a little bit, and then, hang on, give me a second. Okay, maybe, oh, that's too loud. Okay, maybe it's just my AirPods. Okay, cool. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Spencer. Okay, so, like, if I could have all the money in the world, millions of dollars, whatever, to hire for my small business, really the only people that I would need a producer, part-time producer for the live podcast, and then I would need a social media person that did my marketing and did my booking. That's really it. Yeah, the audio from the video's fucked because I'm using my TV speaker and the speaker's all broken. That's why. But yeah, so like I don't need 10 employees. And then if I did have a business that needed 10 employees, that's more expenses. So why are you going to put more expenses on a small business for them to get more incentives that I guarantee you are not going to outweigh the expenses? The incentives will not outweigh the expenses. Does that make sense? I hope I said that right. Yeah. Yeah, why would you? That seems like a weird thing. Like I almost understand it. It's like you're going to encourage the scaling of a business. But at the same time, it's like, okay, so I go to comic book stores a lot. A lot of comic book stores don't need 10 employees. A lot of comic book stores don't need more than one location. So, I don't know. Weird thing to harp on, but I think it's worth it.
You know, there have been multiple businesses that have pulled out of the area around Central Avenue, widely known as the War Zone, the International District. In some cases, this has led to so-called food and pharmacy deserts. What will you do, if anything, to bring those crucial businesses back to the people who live in those areas? Mr. Sanchez, you go first.
Hello, my name is Alexander Yermak. Until 2022, I was a musician, and now...
Thank you. I own an insurance company, and one of my customers was working in the Walmart that closed. One of the things that nobody really knows about, because Walmart's...
First of all, put some fucking respect on the Zuni San Mateo Walmart. First of all, put some fucking respect on that shit. Second of all, how are you so bad at speaking and you're a fucking insurance salesman? How do you make money, bro? Come on.
I'm not gonna publicize it, but what she told me is that Walmart was losing over $7.5 million per year. $7.5 million per year. If you divide that down, that's over close to $400,000 a month that was walking out that door. Again, I go back to that same thing. Leaderships, crime's out of control, and there is no public trust. What we need to do is we need to make sure that the crime is under control, that we bring back public trust, and we make sure that we bring back economic prosperity to Albuquerque. I will make sure in my administration to look at those things and make sure that we bring and talk to those people before they walk away to make sure that we are taking care of them. Currently, right now, I have business owners, large companies on the west side who have come to talk to me at city council and let me know how detrimental it is.
Mr. Ubayas, you are next.
These are self-reinforcing cycles, right? So poverty, food insecurity, lack of pharmacies, lack of access drives us to crime and homelessness and the things that plague our streets. As we said, crime and homelessness and poverty, addiction, mental health are the foundation of the problems that we are facing today. So it is our responsibility as a city to figure out how we get food, whether it's through corporate partnerships or in the community, through community gardens or through incentives to make businesses move in. But first of all, we need to make our streets safe. We need to deal with underlying issues. We need to treat folks who are living on the street with dignity and the care that they need to move off of them. And we need to do smart policing so that our streets feel safe and our stores are not taken advantage of. And then we need to bring these businesses back so that people will not fall back into this cycle and that we have access to grocery stores, we have access to pharmacies, we have access to the basic amenities that we need to survive.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly, you are next.
You know, describing the problem doesn't fix it. That's what I do. I try and fix problems. This is a good example of why I'm foreclosing on that CVS so that we can make it.
Is that not what he's been doing the whole time? I mean, they've all been doing it. They've all been spending, if they have 60 seconds to answer a question, I'd say the average is they've been spending 25 seconds apiece diagnosing a problem. Or not even diagnosing, just like saying there's a problem. They've all been doing that. It's, what? What?
A community-run grocery store. It's also why I'm building a food market right in the heart of the International District on San Mateo next to the ACS headquarters.
Yeah, dude. Totally. A local business has a better chance of standing in the war zone than a fucking multi-million-dollar business. You're totally right, Tim Keller. I would love to see numbers that back that up, but that is absolute fucking, that makes zero sense to me.
So that we can have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. That's also why we're looking at all the regulations that actually prevent local farmers from selling to us each and every day, which is also cheaper and fresher. So it's about cutting the supermarket out. That's the challenge. And that's the executive order that I'm working on for next week. Now, I also want to share that some of these things, too, are national issues.
Wait, what?
Retail, because of Amazon after COVID, is closing all over the country. And I mention that because we have to have those. That's also why we're looking at all the regulations that actually prevent local farmers from selling to us each and every day, which is also cheaper and fresher. So it's about cutting the supermarket out. That's the challenge. And that's the executive order that I'm working on for next week. Now, I also want to share that some of these things, too, are national issues. I mean, retail, because of Amazon after COVID, is closing all over the country. And I mention that because we have to have local solutions to national issues. And those are the ideas I just shared with you.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Okay, fair enough.
Final answer here.
That's not bad.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Last week,
That first part was bullshit, but whatever. The second part was good.
And said to us that
Oh my god.
Are you tired of getting lowball cash?
Hey, yeah, sponsor the podcast so I can have YouTube Premium. That'd be sick.
the week prior, his mother, elderly mother, got ill, and he had to take her to the hospital. And they were discharged from the hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning. He said that he was discharged with a prescription that he had to get filled. He said they looked all over Albuquerque and they could not find a pharmacy that was open, and that they had to drive all the way to Rio Rancho to fill that prescription with his elderly mother. Those pharmacies and the Walmarts, the Walgreens, the CVS drugs, they're not closing because it's a national issue. They're closing because of theft, because of vandalism, because of homelessness. And that's a local problem. Mayor, it's one you created, and it's one that I will solve if I'm elected mayor. We have to clean up that corridor. It's so important to those families. It's important to quality of life, and it's important for Albuquerque.
Mayor,
Okay.
second rebuttal.
Oh, okay. So before the mayor does his rebuttal, there's a lot there. Okay, so Darren White hit the nail on the head. The idea that, because like you travel outside of Albuquerque, you travel outside of New Mexico, you'll find Walgreens, Walmarts that that are open until like 12 in the morning. The Walmarts here close, I think, at 9. The Walgreens, they will close around like 11-ish, but the pharmacies themselves close down at like 5 or 6. I think a couple of CVS's stay up to like 6 or 7, stay open to like 6 or 7. Excuse me, but it is totally because of crime. So hit the nail on the head there. But where, like, I think even for me, it is a bit too far. A little bit. It is a little bit too far to say that Mayor Keller created the problems, because these problems precede the last 8 years. I think his administration exacerbated the problems. I think COVID nationally made these problems a lot worse, but that's a strong accusation. But yeah, I mean, I think he's right about that. I mean, things here do close. Things in Albuquerque do close earlier than everywhere else that I've been to. And then even if they do stay open, it's typically a fast food place. Obviously, it's not a bar or whatever, but a fast food place, and they're only open because of the drive-thru.
Darren's just living in like 2020. I mean, all of these stats and things that he quotes, they were true a couple of years ago. They're just not anymore. And I think that's the big challenge, because when you look at this issue, you know, there are deep challenges that we've had for many years, many of which actually you were a part of when you were community safety department, the officer shortage, the morale problem, the DOJ. These are all problems I've had to clean up. And now I'm doing real work to actually do that. And that's what this election's about.
Did he just say he cleaned up the DOJ problem? No way!
Because when you look at this issue, you know, there are deep challenges that we've had for many years, many of which actually you were a part of when you were community safety department, the officer shortage, the morale problem, the DOJ. These are all problems I've had to clean up. And now I'm doing real work to actually do that. And that's what this election is.
Local problem. Mayor, it's one you created, and it's one that I will solve if I'm elected mayor. We have to clean up that corridor. It's so important to those families. It's important to quality of life, and it's important for Albuquerque.
Mayor, 30-second rebuttal.
You know, Darren's just living in like 2020. I mean, all of these stats and things that he quotes, they were true a couple of years ago. They're just not anymore. And I think that's the big challenge, because when you look at this issue, you know, there are deep challenges that we've had for many years, many of which actually you were a part of when you were community safety department, the officer shortage, the morale problem, the DOJ. These are all problems I've had to clean up. And now I'm doing real work to actually...
Okay, just really quick here, ladies and gentlemen, just really quick. The DOJ investigation into APD was extended under Keller's administration. They were going to leave, but they continued to find so many problems that they stayed longer under his administration. I believe under his second fucking term. Look, I understand that these people are only here to ask questions, but how does the moderator not have the decent journalistic integrity to be like, hey, wait a minute, you're lying. That's a bold-faced lie. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bold-faced lie. It it continued under his administration. Keller did not fix or get rid or cure the fucking DOJ investigation. It got extended under his fucking administration. Oh. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was him and MLG, obviously. But, like, fuck, dude. The lying from this guy is fucking astounding, if I'm being honest.
Do that. And that's what this election's about. It's about the future. It's not about...
I'm gonna need another Zen, dude. Holy shit.
Thank you. Yeah, let's go back, Mayor Keller. Let's go back to 2014. We like to talk about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there were 30 murders. 2014, 30 murders in Albuquerque. 2024, 106. 3 times more.
That's 2022.
Mayor,
Let's
please.
go back and forth.
Mayor, please. Let me finish. Thank you. That is not...
But why does the number matter? Like, or why does the year matter? It's still under your fucking administration. It got worse.
Progress. That is a crisis.
We're going to move now to immigration. Our next question.
Also,
Shelley Rabando. Shelley.
maybe that number is right, the 100 and whatever in 2022, 2024. It just seems like there's been a lot more murders than that per year. But who knows? Maybe it's the perception of how bad the city is. That's a real thing that you have to acknowledge, right? But yeah, whether it's 22 or 24, it's still under your fucking administration, you idiot. That's why I can't do these debates, because I just fucking pop off and be like, hey, because look, half the reason I wanted to do this reaction anyway is because at least, look, okay, half the reason I wanted to do this debate reaction, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, with how low IQ most of these debates are, you can have half the facts as long as you know enough about your opponent and you can critically think. You can disarm like 90% of these arguments. I've been doing it the entire fucking time, and I'm 3 drinks in. I'm just now getting a buzz. Like, I can dismantle these arguments. How are these guys not doing it? That's all Darren had to say. Was like, okay, whether it's 2022 or 2024, it still got categorically worse under your administration, and you're claiming that you're fixing the fucking problems. What are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about? Oh my God, I am crashing out. This is insane. Like, and again, how is there, because look, I don't know if I should air this out. This is a private conversation that I had. Was this public information? Yes, they made it public. So Mei-Ling Armijo, who I had on the podcast, great lady. I think she'd make a fine mayor. She got left out of this debate because, like, the reason they gave her was like, we've made our journalistic decision or whatever. It's like, okay, so if you have the journalistic decision-making abilities, to take people out of a debate, do you not have the journalistic decision-making abilities and integrity to call out this shit when it's a bold-faced lie? To call out the facts when they do not make intelligent, congruent sense? Like when there's no... Like, when a dumbass in his second bedroom in his condo can take these apart, but some fucking guy, who I know he's been on the news a long time, he's been a fucking New Mexico staple, but when this guy right here, when this guy can't fucking call out the bullshit, but I can, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we doing?
In August, the Justice Department put Albuquerque on a list of jurisdictions it says has, quote, policies, laws, or regulations that impede enforcement of federal immigration laws. Under your administration, what will the relationship between the city and federal immigration officials look like?
Mr. Ubaez, you are first.
If you're a long-time listener of the podcast. If you're a long-time listener of the podcast, you will know that that is a question that I have asked of every, mayoral candidate that I've had on the podcast. I've always asked them that question. How are you going to interact with ICE? How are you going to work with ICE? Put me on this shit, bro. Come on. What are we doing?
It's our responsibility as a city to protect our neighbors. And I'll tell you, as a DOJ-trained attorney and the son of an immigrant myself, I know how to fight for this city. And I know that this city is going to stand up resilience by itself to fight the Trump administration. What I know from working in federal law enforcement for 10 years is that where they are going now is chasing after people with no criminal history. I know it's our responsibility as leaders here to keep our community safe, and that includes building trust in our law enforcement, building trust in our government. And if a person doesn't feel confident enough to pick up the phone and call 911 when they need help, then we are failing them. So I've released an 11-point plan. It's on my website. You can see practical things that we can do to protect our community. It's everything from public education campaigns, spending our public money not on re-airing the state of the city, but in helping people know their rights, to designating sensitive spaces where we will protect people from federal overreach.
He was fired just 3 weeks before he was set to retire.
Jesus, okay. Well, that dude crashed out, didn't he? All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, so I let's stop there because so that actually came up on the podcast, like I said, and I wish I had a little bit more than at least like an hour and a half with Alex to really dive into that because I don't like that answer. And it's not hard to like dig into the subtext of that, but basically what he's saying is he's going to protect illegal immigrants from ICE, the nonviolent illegal immigrants from ICE. Now, my answer to that on the podcast, and I stand by it, is if you listen to the interviews from Tom Homan, where he's talking about how ICE is going to get used, a common phrase he would say is that when we're taking down these violent criminals that are illegal immigrants, those are our targets. But while we're taking down those people, if we find somebody, violent or not, that is an illegal immigrant, we're going to get them too, then we're going to get them too. And I agree with that logic, right? I agree with that logic, but with the subtext of focusing on violent criminals. Now, here's the thing. I know it's semantics. However, if you came to the country illegally, you have broken the law. And the idea that we have to completely ignore that, because we've been ignoring it for decades, obviously, right? That's how, everything from agriculture, like low-level agriculture jobs, service industry jobs, construction and labor jobs are all done by illegal immigrants. It's the jobs Americans don't want to do. This has been like the dirty, not the dirty secret, but like the thing everyone kind of turns their blind eye to. But basically what he's saying there is that he's going to rely on the citizens and he's going to utilize his administration to protect criminals. Definitionally. And that's not good. And I wish I would have had more time on the podcast with him to articulate that. And because I think because he's a smart guy. I think Alex is a smart and a well-articulated guy. And I hope I get to sit down with him again. But I think that's a debate in of itself, personally. I think that's at least a 20-minute, 30-minute conversation. Because it's like, yeah, they're nonviolent, and maybe they're in the process of getting a citizenship or whatever. But you have to really get into the nitty-gritty of that. But effectively what he's saying there is he's going to utilize his administration to protect criminals. You can't have that. I'm sorry, but you just can't. And I know that a lot of people are going to not like me for saying that. And I know a lot of people are going to call me cruel, and they already have. Call me cruel and cold, and just that's not a good position to have. But I mean, it's unfortunately that's the truth, dude. You can't have that. But we're in New Mexico, so it's probably going to fucking be the standard.
That is an excellent description of what I've been doing for the last 8 years. When Trump started separating children at the border, I stood up in defiance, and I created our immigrant-friendly policy that does just that. This is a city that is safer when families feel safe to call our police department. And by law and by executive order, we do not work with ICE. And that's the right answer. So that
no, it is not.
No matter who's in their home or no matter who's in their family, to call APD. But also, we need strong experience.
Okay, wait a minute. No, it is not. No, okay, listen. I'm going to make this perfectly clear. I do not love how ICE is being used right now. I don't love it, and there should be a lot of changes. However, the idea that a mayor can make an executive order to not work with the federal government, that is not good. I'm sorry, that's just... that is not good, people. That should not be a precedent being set in our country. That's not good. Sorry, that is not good. That needs to be found out in court. That needs to be a deliberation. That cannot be an executive order. Whew. And in the interest of time, I don't want to get into more of that, but holy cow.
Knows how to make sure that we don't lose federal money. And that's why our policy also doesn't collect any information. None. That's why I can say we're in full compliance with every federal requirement. We share all the information we have because we don't collect any. That's what strong and experienced leadership is. I have a long track record on this issue. No one is surprised that I will always fight for immigrant families.
Mr. White?
Yes, Mayor Kelly, you do have a long track record and you do not collect that information. And that data, if you were to collect it and turn it over to federal law enforcement officers, it would reveal that there are people who are here in our country illegally, who are committing murder, who are committing violent crimes, human trafficking. Those are not the people that we want in our country. If you come to our country illegally and you're charged with a crime, your information should be turned over to immigration so that they can put a detainer on you and have you removed from the country. It's not controversial, that's common sense. We have more than enough of our own criminals. We don't need to have criminals come in here from other countries.
Yeah.
Mr. Sanchez, you are next.
First of all, I do not support the mayor's sanctuary city mandate.
What was that gay shit?
Before I'm a city councilor.
Wait a minute. What was that gay shit?
I'm a city councilor, and we are an immigrant.
Of our own criminals. We don't need to have criminals come in here from other countries.
Mr. Sanchez, you are next.
First of all, I do not support.
What was that?
City mandate that he put up. I'm a city councilor, and we are an immigrant-friendly city since 2001. Republican Hess item will put that in the books, and everybody has been living by that. Also, there is also a provision in that law that says, unless otherwise required by law. So that gives the mayor the ability to actually execute and cooperate with individuals who are breaking the law in our city to make sure that, cooperate with the authorities who are arresting individuals who are breaking the law in our city. It's so important that we do not house criminals and harbor criminals in our city. With me, one of the things I've been dealing with is I have a business that has up to 90% Spanish speakers, and those individuals are thriving, working millionaires in our society, in our city, and they're doing the right things.
Yeah, it's a weird definition, but okay. That's a weird definition of it, but whatever.
Sticking with the same issue, simple question. Do you believe Albuquerque should be a sanctuary city, and do you agree with that label? Mr. Keller, you're first.
First I just want to acknowledge that what you're hearing is people painting immigrants as criminals.
No, they're not.
Unethical.
Like, they're okay, they kind of are, but like, I've already explained my piece.
We also know in our city that we have a city council that has upheld my immigrant-friendly policy, including Councilor Sanchez, who voted for my policy. So we know this is working, but we also know this. We arrest anyone who does something wrong, regardless of their status. And that's where Darren is totally off base. We enforce the law. We just don't check your papers. We just don't ask your status. So
okay, so if you're checking their okay. Wait a minute. So if you're checking their papers, but you're not asking a status, that's an oxymoron, first of all. And second of all, he wasn't saying that you're not arresting them. He's saying you're arresting them and you're not reporting it to the federal government so they can check. Oh my God, dude, the lying here.
That those two things is not only wrong, but it's also not what APD officers want to do. APD officers signed up to work for APD, not to work for ICE. There are police departments. They're not the federal departments.
It doesn't matter what they want to do. It's what they're required to do, which is catch criminals.
Police force. That's also why the APD officers themselves have endorsed me and support me, because morale is up, and they actually believe in what I'm doing to lead the city, even if we don't agree on everything. That is a whole lot against two people
Time
who
is
are
up.
former officers and a former law.
Darren, you are next. You have a minute to reply, but I'm also going to give you 30 seconds to rebut what the mayor said.
Thank you, Doug. Well, Mayor, 15 years ago, they allowed ICE to go into the prisoner transport center. And that prisoner transport center is where everybody arrested by the Albuquerque Police Department is processed. We allowed ICE to actually set up a laptop computer, and everybody that came through that facility was checked for immigration status. And I go back to what I said. This isn't controversial. This is public safety. If you're arrested and you're in this country illegally, we should, and actually it is the law that that information should be turned over to immigration to let them put that detainer on those folks who are here illegally. This is, this is just common sense. We have enough criminals of our own. We don't need people, and Mayor, stop saying it's, of course, being here in this country, we're talking about criminals, people who are breaking the law, people who are committing murder and human trafficking. We don't want those people in our country. We want them to be sent back where they came from.
Thank you. Mr. Sanchez, you're next.
Thank you. Mayor, your policy, your directive is what put us in this position, and we face a deficit of millions of dollars, and that is wrong. And I will never support a sanctuary policy that protects criminals. We are an immigrant-friendly city. As I explained earlier, many immigrants are thriving and doing well in our city. We're talking about criminals. You want to protect criminals.
Mr. Mayor, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Louis, you literally voted for my policy. Like literally. And no one murderers.
It's just hilarious seeing like the one thing that Keller and Darren White agree on is that Luis Sanchez is a fucking idiot.
We will arrest anyone who commits murder, and we will prosecute them for murder. So these are different things, and you're trying to confuse them. So look at your own voting record.
Mr. Sanchez, yes or no? Did you vote for that policy?
I voted for what was an immigrant-friendly policy, not the mayor's directive. Not the mayor's directive.
Do I still get my 30 seconds?
League of Women Voters, did you allow Mr. White a minute 30 the last one? They did not. I apologize. Mr. White, go ahead. You have 30 more seconds.
Louis, that law was very clear last year that you voted on. That law said, that change would have said, if you were in this country illegally and you were charged with a violent crime, human trafficking, or drug dealing, it would have required the Albuquerque Police Department to turn that information over. And you said during that debate, you voted against that. You were the deciding vote against that because you said you felt it was dividing our community. And so the truth is, you voted against it.
30 seconds, real quick.
I voted against that, Darren, because it was going to give the mayor more power.
But you didn't say that.
His DEI was going to support it, and also he was going to have total control of it.
But you didn't say that.
All right, no more back and forth, but thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Elias, you have the final reply.
Oh.
These policies protect people. I look at it in two different ways. As a career prosecutor first, we need to be making sure that we are holding people accountable here in the United States. That is why we extradite people here when they commit crimes abroad. Because justice is received when you punish crimes here. But second of all, looking at what's happening from the Trump administration and ICE right now, 70% of the people who are swept up have no criminal history. This means we are spending our resources going after the lowest hanging fruits and not after people who are driving misery in our communities. This is really important. It's like giving up investigating murders to investigate jaywalking tickets. And so I would also ask the mayor, since he says he is already implementing my 11-point plan, to now you have committed to implementing a mask ban, requiring identification for ICE, using city funds not for your state of the city address, but to actually do voter education, to designate sensitive spaces in our churches, schools, and our courthouses, and to make a legal defense fund for those who are wrapped up in our ICE raids because we don't know whether their due process rights are going to be protected, and that should be determined by your income.
Mr. Mayor, 30 seconds.
We're doing all of that. You should spend more time actually looking at what we're doing as a city and the people who do this hard work each and every day in our Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, and less time reading your own plan. So look at our plan. That's what we're doing. Great idea. I'm glad we're already doing it.
Yeah, I mean, they are doing the sensitive space shit. The idea that a courthouse is a sensitive space makes no fucking sense. If they're already there, just arrest them. Get them. I don't know, man. Like, what are we arguing about here?
All right, one final quick question with just a show of hands. Is there a runoff election in about 2 months from now? If there is a runoff election, just a show of hands, will you commit to another debate? All right, 4 for 4. Thank you very much.
Oh, Louis, put that hand down. You're not built for it.
30 seconds for a closing statement. As a result of our drawing, Tim Keller, you go first.
Well, I think you're doing two things today. Number one, you've heard a lot about people talking about the problems, about what they want to do, or blaming the problems on different things. That's easy. That's not leadership. What leadership is actually explaining how to solve the problem. That is the real work. That is the problem solving that I've been doing. The second thing is you're going to hear how the last 8 years wasn't that great. And I will tell you that's not what this election is about. It's about who is best equipped in these tough times to lead us and hold us together for the next 4 years. That's why we need strong, experienced leadership.
Time is up. Thank you. Mr. White, you are next.
Yes. Before you cast your vote, ask this simple question. What has Tim Keller done in 12 years that he hasn't done in 8? If I'm elected, I'm only going to serve 4 years. I'm not trying to pad my political resume or punch my ticket to higher office. I want to go in day one, roll up my sleeves, get to work, and clean up the mess. Mayor Keller is running to save his political future. I'm running to save our city. I'm Darren White, and I respectfully ask for your vote.
Mr. Sanchez, you are next.
Thank you. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, and it's expecting different results. I'm running for mayor to stop the insanity. This is unbelievable. I am a retired law enforcement officer, I'm a city councilor, and a small business owner. I know what it is to sign paychecks, and I know what it is to sign policy. We need new leadership, we need experience, and we need accountability and transparency back in City Hall. I'm Louis Sanchez, and I'd love to earn your vote. Thank you.
Final closing statement is from Alex Baez.
The mayor is a temporary custodian of a position that belongs to you, the people. You don't have to decide between going backwards with these challengers and going nowhere with the incumbents. My first 100 days, I will lay the framework for public safety that's responsive and gets you the answer that you need quickly, that deals with homelessness in a humane way, that builds economic development and possibility for our kids. Because this office, it's not a right, it's a responsibility. And it's an Albuquerque that will work for you. My name's Alex Ubayez. I respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes our debate. We thank the candidates, of course, for participating. All 6 will discuss the issues again on October 22nd, when the Albuquerque Journal will host a candidates roundtable. KOAT and News Radio KKOB are also proud to be joining that panel, asking the questions. Now,
Well, if there is public access to that, I will definitely be attending. I wanted to attend this, but obviously it was a pre-recorded thing. All right. So my honest thoughts, Luis Sanchez did nothing. If anything, he just took away from the time that other people could be speaking. Darren White, very Republican. Pretty much everything you expect from a Republican is going to be there. He had some good points about the homelessness issues. He had some good points about crime. Well, positive and negative about crime. But I think more negative. But I don't know. Yeah. I think his most impressive moments, probably the immigration stuff. Maybe a little bit of, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Alex Ubayez, I think he did the best, but I mean, that's not a high bar. I don't think Alex Ubayez being the best in this debate, like, that's the smartest kid with Down syndrome. I don't know. Like, he did fine. He had actual ideas. I disagree with most of his immigration stuff. I mean, I would try, out of the 4 of them, I think I'd trust him the most. And then Keller, I mean, you just look at the track record. I mean, the dude lied throughout the whole debate. We had him fact-checked multiple times. Don't vote for Keller. I mean, that dude's a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. Like, there's no way that he gets reelected and things get better in this city. But if we're looking at voting data and we're looking at voting trends of Albuquerque, he's probably going to get reelected. So, what are you going to do? Appreciate all you guys that tuned in. I'll do an episode Saturday more than likely. We'll see. Check out the interview with Alex. That was a good one. I hope to get him into the studio and do a longer one because I think he has I think he has some good ideas, and I think he is well articulated. Well, I know he's well articulated. I just like more time with him. I don't really want to talk to Luis Sanchez. That's kind of a, you know, not a whole lot to add there. And Darren White, I think, would be a very heated but fun debate. So, that's about it. I don't think I have any stand-up shows coming up right now. New episode every Monday. Hopefully we can do one on Saturday. Yeah. That's about it. Bye-bye.